All right, let's get some instant analysis. Welcome in CBS Sports golf analyst Mark Immelman, who was on the broadcast, the CBS Sports golf reporter Doug Bell, who joins us from Muirfield Village in Dublin, Ohio. Guys, this was a monster story all day. Tiger makes the cut, misses the cut. It was changing every minute. He narrowly makes the cut, and in 17 straight starts, Mark, he had never missed the cut at the Memorial. He survives, will play on the weekend. What did you see from Tiger on Friday?
Well, first off, Hakeem, let's recognize 18 straight cuts. I mean, that is a monumental effort. To me, Tiger looked a little lethargic, and then we found out that he was battling a little bit of a tender back. In fact, this happened earlier in the week. Yesterday said he wasn't 100%, and then during his warm-up today, he said he felt the back tighten up, and he wasn't able to make a full coil or a full wind of his body. And obviously for a golfer, that's a big deal because that's kind of the engine of one's golf swing. Then, too, you see missing putts here. If the back is a little tight and tender, it's hard to bend over and putt. I know that sounds kind of strange, but it does put some pressure on one. And then you could see there were a number of shots off the tee that he hung out to the right-hand side. That speaks to the fact that he just wasn't able to rotate all the way through the golf ball and certainly do so aggressively. Yesterday, he managed his way through it. Today, I think it just caught up with him. So he battled manfully through the day. Didn't have his best stuff, and now it just remains to be seen what the back is like for the weekend upcoming.
Yeah, he struggled off the tee, struggled with his iron, struggled with his putter. Doug, how did he look to you up close and personal?
Well, I tell you, on Thursday, he looked pretty good, even though he was moving rather slowly. Everything was very methodical, but he had all day to get ready. And I think that's what he needs, all day to get that back in shape. And the quick turnaround definitely affected him. He got up in the wee hours of the morning, has to get up at like 3:30 a.m. just to get out of bed and start getting loose for that tee time shortly after 8 o'clock. And as he said, he knew getting out of bed, it was going to be a rough day. He said he rolls the dice every morning. Some days it's good, some days it's not. And today, as Mark was talking about, he was blocking that driver all day. His right hand was flying off the club, just could not complete that turn. But I will say, Hakeem, this was vintage Tiger because he knew he wanted to make this cut. So he birdies 7, the par 5, his 16th hole, birdies 8 with a beautiful putt about 23 feet, and then at 9 blocks out the drive again, has to punch out to the fairway, throws it up on the green and makes about an 8-footer to salvage the par. That got him in at +3, and then ironically Bryson DeChambeau's 10 brought all the +3s into the weekend, including Tiger Woods. So I'm glad he's playing. He needs to play more competitive rounds, and we'll see what happens on the weekend. And we'll see if we'll see if he wakes up tomorrow with a back that feels better.
I would love to see a miracle at the Memorial. Tiger, again, making the cut for the 18th time at Jack's Place, sits tied for 64th, +40,000 to win. So maybe a little sprinkle there on Tiger Woods, maybe a little miracle at Memorial this weekend. We shall see. As for the guys who did miss the cut, most notably Bryson DeChambeau, who carded a quintuple bogey, which I didn't expect I'd be saying a quintuple bogey at any point, at any round of this entire year. Bryson DeChambeau, a par 5 15th, cards a 10, his worst score ever on a single hole. Mark, what the heck happened?
I was out. I hit a bad tee shot, obviously down the left-hand side. The ball kicked backwards into a push and penalty. I took relief. And then he had a very small window with a heavy lie in the rough. And we had Jack Nicklaus in our booth, and he was commenting too. And both Nick Faldo, Jack Nicklaus, Hall of Famers, they were like, really? He's going after this? And I was sort of had my eyes out on stalks at the decision. The ball came out crooked, went out of bounds. Then instead of just punching one out down the fairway, he doubled down on this decision not once but twice. And then from there, things just went from the frying pan into the fire. He managed to get one into play eventually and then argued with a rules official about the ball being in bounds, but it was barely out given the way the fence set up on the right-hand side of this hole. So it was an unfathomable sort of an experience for me. I haven't seen a pro golfer in a situation like that before. But Bryson just kept on doing Bryson things, which is hitting the golf ball hard, where Nick Faldo rightly said he could have, because he was at that stage just 1 over par and inside the cuts, and very much in the mix, given that the golf course is playing hard. He could have just punched one down the fairway, put bogey at worst on the card, get to 2 over par, get in, and then just at least live to fight another day.
Doug, I want to take you also to this moment because Bryson was insistent that his ball was inbounds. He said to the first official that he didn't believe him. Can I get a second opinion? The second rules official says, no, it's out of bounds. What did you see? What did you make of that moment there? And then your reaction to Bryson falling apart?
Well, it was interesting, Hakeem. The scorecard, by the way, he had 5 birdies, 5 bogeys, and 4 pars. Heading into that hole, it was kind of a wild, topsy-turvy day, which we've grown to expect from Bryson DeChambeau. And on the property for this event, these gorgeous homes bank up to the edges of all these fairways. And for the tournament, they put up this makeshift black fence. And you probably see it on television. If you're watching Bryson, you saw that black fence. It's a makeshift fence. And so Bryson felt that the ball, even though it was in somebody's yard, that this fence was actually inside the out-of-bounds markers. So he thought he could actually hit it through the fence back into play, and then obviously play up on the green. Called in the second official. That doesn't happen all the time. You have that option if you're a player. If you're not happy with the first official, I want to bring in a second official. It's like a court of law on the PGA Tour, and the second official concurred with the first official. I sound kind of like a lawyer. So it was kind of a bizarre happening. You don't see it very often, but for Bryson DeChambeau to wind up with a 10 was absolutely crazy. And listen, this is the toughest test he's had with this new game of his. He's played flawless golf up until he's reached this golf course, which was set up like a major championship. And I think this will tell him something, because is his game now ready for Harding Park? Is his game ready for Wingfoot? Is his game ready for Augusta National? I don't know, because it certainly struggled, and he was certainly up and down playing this track. So I think this was a telling 2 days for young Bryson DeChambeau.
Definitely weird to see him struggling so much, but let's talk about some guys who really were playing well so far. Tony Finau and Ryan Palmer are tied for first at 9 under par. What stood out to you about each of their rounds, and do you see them being in the conversation come Sunday, Doug?
Well, I tell you, Sherry, Ryan Palmer, 43 years old. He's been out here for 20 years. The last time he's won an individual event was 10 years ago in Hawaii. And last week, right here, he shot 77-81, misses the cut. Flies home. I don't want to hang out here all weekend. Gets with his teacher, Randy Smith, who immediately detects a flaw in his swing and says, we can fix that. And then his caddy, James Edmondson, who lives there in Dallas with him, said, go back to the old putter, the old Odyssey putter we used to putt with 2 or 3 years ago. You were better with that. So he did. He gets here for a practice round, calls up Steve Stricker and says, Strick, I need help with chipping and bunker play. They go out and play 9 holes. Lo and behold, a guy who's been out here for 20 years gets fixed in a matter of 3 or 4 days. So, yeah, I think he has an opportunity this weekend. Hasn't won in 10 years. He's 43. It's hard to win when you're in your 40s, but I think a fantastic story. Amazing, a guy as good as Ryan Palmer has been out here as long as he is, still getting a little help from his friends along the way. As for Tony Finau, wow, it was a bombshell for him. He's swinging harder now. He went home last week and told his instructor, I want to swing like Bryson DeChambeau. Why not? And Tony Finau's ball speed is faster than Bryson DeChambeau. In the post-round comments, they said, tell us about that 200-mile-per-hour ball speed. He said, no. It's 209 miles per hour. So Tony Finau's getting into this, and we saw the results the first 2 days. I think both of those guys have a real opportunity this weekend.
I think, Doug, you make a very good point. And first off to Ryan Palmer, one for the golf teachers, because oftentimes, you get that call, the emergency phone call, and you've got to come through with something wise. And Randy Smith did. And he went right back to fundamentals. And as you look at this golf course and how it's playing, it's taking on this major championship feel. It's the kind of place that's asking people to play fundamental golf. Jack Nicklaus said it on our show, put the ball in play, put the ball on the green, put the ball under the hole, take your pars when you can pick them up, pick off the odd birdie, and just play fundamental style stuff. So Ryan Palmer, with the older, wiser heads prevailing around him, I think was a good thing. And he hits the kind of golf ball that doesn't deviate much through the air. So he drives it well. And if you drive the ball well around here, you're going to play very well. The key is obviously on the greens for Ryan. And as it pertains to Tony Finau, I mean, he looks to me like he's in sixth gear right now. The guy's he's swinging free, he's swinging smooth. But the big deal for Finau, who's had just one victory on the PGA Tour and many attempts have gone unrequited, the key has been the putting. When he played in that exhibition charity match on Wednesday afternoon, he made everything he stood over. He shot like 6 under on his own golf ball over 9 holes, drove it long, but made putts. And over the weekend, I've always maintained that the two straightest face clubs in the bag, the driver and the putter, they will pretty well seal your fate on the PGA Tour. Look, you've got to hit good irons and such, but if you can drive it right and putt it into the hole, you're on your way. And Tony Finau is operating with high-level confidence right.
Following round 2, Finau plus 400 to win. He's not the favorite to win. The favorite to win is world number 2, Jon Rahm, who's at plus 250 right now. One shot off the lead, carded at 567 in the second round. Mark, Jon Rahm has been trending upward since a final round 64 at last week's Workday Charity Open at Muirfield Village. Could you see him going on a tear on the weekend?
I certainly could. I don't think it would be a tear, Hakeem, just because of the way the golf course is beginning to shape up. But we must look back a little bit to look forward, in my opinion. And before the COVID lockdown, Jon Rahm was arguably playing the best golf of anyone in the world's game. I mean, he was driving it long, making putts, and his confidence was high. Since the comeback, he admitted things were just a little off kilter. He was slightly rusty. But I saw him in a practice round Wednesday. He was playing alongside a couple of friends there, Bo Hoag being one of them, a couple of young golfers on the PGA Tour. He looked relaxed. He had played the golf course well, and his mindset looked good. And there was a twinkle in the eye. And we all know he's got the weapons, but a lot of Jon Rahm is the belief and the maintaining of composure. And he's done that thus far. And over the weekend, if he maintains composure, I believe he goes the whole way, because this golf course is going to test you both mentally and emotionally.
I think a tear on the weekend would maybe be 5 under. I mean, this course has been absolutely tough for these guys through 2 rounds. Doug, you're there. You've seen the golf over the last 2 days. What have you seen from Jon Rahm? And now he's the favorite going into the weekend. Should he be?
Hakeem, he should be the favorite, and I'll tell you why. He has a simple solution here to how to solve the mystery of Muirfield Village Golf Club. And maybe it's not that big a secret. Dominate the par 5s. He is 7 under on the par 5s for 2 days. There's 8 of them out there, and I don't know how he missed the birdie on the last try there. Number 7, I was out there watching him, but 7 under in the par 5s. Finau and Ryan Palmer are 6 under the par 5s, and Tiger, by the way, is 1 under on the par 5s, and he used to dominate the par 5s. But Rahm playing the par 5s like par 4s, and I think that'll be the key for him. And again, he's put a lot of pressure on himself. We've talked about this. He can be number 1 in the world, and the only other Spaniard to ever do that was the great Seve Ballesteros back in 1986. Jon Rahm wants to be the second Spaniard to be number 1, numero uno, and I think he will be after this weekend. I see a guy who's gaining confidence, and he's found a ballpark that he likes. I mean, it's like Pete Alonso in the home run derby last year. Remember, he just kept hitting those homers one after another, and Jon Rahm at this ballpark just keeps hitting home runs. And when those par 5s line up for him, he's like, give me the driver. I'm going to bomb it down there. I'm going to go into it with an iron. Eagle opportunity, 2-putt for birdie, and here we go. I like Jon Rahm.
You know that I love a Pete Alonso reference in a golf segment. Looking for his first victory of the season is Jon Rahm.
Yes, indeed. Doug Bell and Mark Immelman, thank you. CBS is your home for the Memorial this weekend. Saturday coverage starts at 3 p.m. Eastern. The final round airing on CBS starts at 3:30 Eastern. And here on CBS Sports HQ, we'll have live updates and analysis all weekend. Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.